Okay, hi everyone. My goal in making this video today is to show you guys a quick way of legit checking all Jordan 11s, but also prove the point that there are some discrepancies in retail authentic pairs that shouldn't be there, but they are, and so we can't just determine that shoes are fake based on what I consider to be factory flaws. As you can see here, I have a number of pairs laid out. They're all larger sizes. I'll show you the sizes, but I basically just want to try to make this video as quick as possible and show you some of the ways of telling whether a pair is legit, and also show you that legit pairs can have differences and whatnot. So these two pairs, well, let's just go all the way across the board here. Really good way of checking. Your box should have typically some sort of sticker on it. These have launch product stickers. I believe those are put on at the factory, I think, but not every pair has it. This pair has a I believe that's a Champs barcode sticker. Again, it's good. It's something that shows it came from a retail store. The unauthorized pairs are not going to have a sticker with a barcode on it. I've never seen one like that. And part of why I'm making this video is because I've seen a lot of fake pairs recently. This pair's got the Foot Locker sticker, launch product sticker, launch product, and Champs sticker. That's kind of the ideal situation there. You want to know what your box label is supposed to look like. I'll give you guys a quick view of each of these. But that's up to you to find out, because it changes depending on what size shoe the shoes are. You can see here, each of those ones is pretty small, whereas on the 12, they're a very different size. So you're going to have to look into that, because it completely depends on what size shoe you're buying. Except for the concords, those are the same. Third spacing, you guys all know this. You can see here they're pretty good. This one, not so much. That pair's pretty good. That pair's pretty good. But we can't determine whether they're authentic just based off that, because look at this. This is an authentic pair from Champs, and it's way off. So you want it to be in the general third space area, but so check that, but don't take that as your sole indicator. One thing I'm going to mention quickly, I'm not going to go too into detail. Quality control stamps. Every one of these pairs has it. On this box, it's going to be in the same spot. On this box, it's on the outer sleeve. Like when you pull this inner part out, the smaller part, it's on the bigger outer part. On the concords, it's on the inner part. If you really want to, I can make a video showing you that, explaining what it is, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to keep moving on and say every authentic pair is going to have a quality control stamp like the one here. You should know what the paper's supposed to be look like. On the fake bred 11s, it's too dark. The writing is too dark. But now I'm going to show you guys the one thing I think is most important when you're determining whether a pair of 11s is real or not. And this is going to come back to where I'm talking about discrepancies as well, or factory flaws. When we look at the back here, you'll realize that the outsole, I'm going to call this red part the outsole because it's technically part of it, and this white part the midsole, and then this is the patent leather for those of you guys that maybe aren't so up to date on the terminology of everything. The outsole and the midsole are always going to line up pretty well. The stitching here should line up with those two, but it's not always going to. The biggest indicator though is the height. The height of this patent leather should be approximately the same height as this midsole at this point, plus a little bit. So maybe take that plus 20%. That should be the height of this patent leather. It shouldn't be up to here. It shouldn't have to scoop down a whole bunch, because it should be nice and low already. You'll see on this pair, it's not perfectly centered here, but it's the same general height. You'll see on the Gammas, it's really low. It's like basically exactly the same as the height of the midsole. Concords, same kind of general deal. This pair, you'll realize, is really got a wonky midsole here. I don't know what the heck happened here. I don't know how these made it through quality control, but this is a prime example. I've had these legit checked by multiple people. It's not just me telling you that this is an authentic pair. Prime example of Jordan brand's quality leading to something that might lead you to think this is an unauthorized or a fake pair. Another thing, this should be nice and smooth. We'll call this the collar. Collar should be nice and smooth. It is on all these. Last final detail, I'd say, and you can get this all from one photo. All you need to do is ask for a photo of the backs of both shoes. Then all you need to do is figure out, do these line up? Does this come pretty close to lining up? Is it nice and low? That's the biggest thing. Is it nice and low? Then come here. Look at the 2-3. It shouldn't be too wide. Yeah, they'll call it, like, guys will call it 2-3 looks pancaked. What they're trying to say is it's spread out too much horizontally. All these pairs are generally the same. You'll look at these gammas again. Oh, sorry. This is another flaw I forgot to talk about. It doesn't really come close to lining up there, and it's not even straight. Like, it's not even vertical. It should be parallel with this and run straight up. It doesn't. And then there's a difference in the color of the 2-2-3s. This one looks really faded, whereas this one's much more vibrant. But what I wanted to get at was the general width, but then also the spacing between each of these lines. So I'm trying to hold that as still as I can. The space between the lines that run vertically and the lines that run horizontally should all be about the same. You see there's a little bit more space right there than there is here. That's okay, but there shouldn't be a huge difference. That's my biggest tip for legit checking them. The next thing would be the sole. I think probably next most helpful thing, pod placement. Again, this pair is, look at this pair. I was just about to say it's good. This is nice and centered where it should be, basically touching here. And then up here, it's way off. So this is a way of checking, but this is another way that you're going to have to determine, is that a factory flaw that came from Jordan, like from the Nike factories, from the Jordan factories or whatever, or is this a fake pair? That's why you need to take multiple things into consideration. This pair, pretty good. I hate the way those sit. It's very tough to see on the gammas, so we're not really going to worry about that. This pair is pretty good, but that one's off. You can tell. And then this pair. This pair is again off. So what you want to see, if I had to pick the ideal one, it would be something like this. You want it to basically, in this case it's completely touching. It's pretty much centered. It scoops down a little bit that direction. And then those two, you want to have a bit more of a gap. A little bit more of a gap up there. Carbon fiber, if it's obviously plastic and if it's not, it should have a little bit of like squishiness to it. Really tough to explain without feeling it, so that's why I don't want to use that as a way of telling. Breds should always have white seen through the aglets there. All my pairs have those. I have one other pair. This is the last thing I'll show you just for comparison's sake. If you're buying a pair that is not dead stock, obviously you might have some ankle creasing here as well as some stretch on this collar. So don't expect the collar to be all nice and tight like that, because as you could see, the shape of it will change. What should not change though is the height of the patent leather again. So it really all comes down to this. I could have summed this up into that, but it's also about taking everything into consideration. So take a look at that patent leather, the height of it, the shape of this cut. You've just seen like what is that? 10 different examples of it, 11 now. So you should have an idea. You can go back, you can pause the video to make sure that this cut and this height are correct on any pair you're considering buying. And then take into consideration the box, the packaging, any other flaws. Oh, last thing I want to talk about. This is so far a little bit shorter than the last one I filmed. Is this stitching here? You could see it's nice. Oh, it's not focusing. Shoot. Sorry, bear with me for a second. You could see that the stitching is nice and evenly spaced all the way around. That should be pretty consistent. You shouldn't have any big changes in the spacing of the stitching. I'm talking about the double stitched portion that outlines the patent leather, as well as the fact that there shouldn't be any widow's peaks there or at any point. But you can see there, those two cuts don't meet quite perfectly. So if I had to sum this video up, I would just say, when I am legit checking if a pair of Bred 11s is authentic, the main thing I look towards is that height of the patent leather. The next thing would be the box and the packaging, followed by the sole. I think those three things will give you a pretty good all-around idea of whether a pair you're considering buying is authentic. Look at the Jumpman on both sides, both shoes I mean, sorry, not both sides as well. And color of the sole. Bred 11s are a little bit too pink. Concords, both my pairs, you want to have this golden yellowing around each pod. Gammas shouldn't be yellowed at all really, because A, the sole's so dark and they released pretty recently. But you want to see this golden yellowing around every pod. Don't listen to anybody that says that they've iced them and that's why they're perfectly blue, icy. You'll see here it's almost clear. It shouldn't be like tinted that blue anymore. You know, these came out almost 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago actually. So keep that in mind. And I hope this video will be helpful to anybody who wants to check their shoes. Thank you for watching. Comment if you have any questions, like the video, and subscribe. That would be great. Thanks.